and putting them away. Or if an unmarried couple is occupying the room, the very proper Mrs. Wilson's ghost may climb into bed with them and try to force them apart. Well, that would be creepy, wouldn't it? Having some ghost come in between you if you're not married. That's just creepy. And that's the official story. 5 different Colorado news accounts of the incident reported 5 different, vastly different stories. The same report said that she was joined on the second floor by another knave who was thrown into a wall. But this was the actual story of what happened. So, the Colorado Springs Gazette reported the story close to what is the truth, but added that an additional 7 people were injured. It could have been when she got blown through the floor. Yeah, Michelle. Good one. So, it's such a mystery, and it's one of the such a mystery, according to the archivist. No employee records from the time are still at the hotel, and no pictures of Elizabeth Wilson can be found. The final and most important ingredient of a good ghost story is a good storyteller. Mary Gordon, known as affectionately as Scary Mary, there you go, has been giving tours at the Stanley for 5 years and has mastered the art of storytelling. She was thrilled when the pieces of the drywall and carpet were found 103 years later from the explosion in the room that is said to be one of the most haunted. To think that Flora Stanley picked out that wallpaper and carpet is amazing. It's got pinks and greens, though, so there you go. No, you ain't kidding. Can you imagine that? The proper Mrs. Wilson climbs into bed with you. Oh, that's just downright creepy. I'm sorry. Scary Mary is a very popular tour guide. So if you go there, Michelle, you should meet her. She relates her personal experience of hauntings while conducting her tours. And she sees ghost orbs, green ones, not just, white ghost orbs, they're green orbs. She urges people to constantly take pictures, and it helps them analyze. Sometimes apparitions can be seen. So, but the discovery of concrete evidence of the explosion just weighs into the whole. Do you want to find out, Michelle? Go right ahead. I think I'll pass on that one. But the finding of the carpet and the wallpaper from that room, from the explosion, just, proves that it happened. It definitely, that's concrete evidence right there. Yeah, Michelle, let me know about that, okay? You go try it first. So lots going on there. So that's kind of a little history on the Stanley in Colorado. So lots going on in Colorado there. Yeah, I had some issues. I was talking about Route 666 Devil's Highway, and things started going a bit haywire here. It terminated me. Yeah, you're going to pass? I'll bet. I'm not going to do it. It terminated me. I guess Spreaker terminated me, and then, or something did. Then it would come back on. Then it was in and out. So I just started the part 2. So, I don't know. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess we may never know. But then my lights flickered right after that, right after it did that. So, you guys tell me what happened. I'm just not so sure. You're going to pass on that, Michelle? Then we'll never know. We could put Chris in there by himself. We can see what happens. Okay, again, the Gates of Hell. There's also another one called the Third Bridge. It's called, it's an urban legend of a bridge located out in the desolate prairie southeast of Denver. Third Bridge, or it's also called Ghost Bridge, is often referred to as Ghost Bridge. It goes to County Line Road over the dry bed of the Kiowa Creek. The details of the stories are mostly unknown to those who take the long drive at night to hear the fabled sounds of the drums. You hear drums, horse hooves beating across the bridge, and stories of deaths by car accident, murder, and an Indian massacre. In the area tainted forever by the blood spilled long ago, do the sounds of the drum floating upon the air tell a story of historical death and foretell of doom to yet to come? They have the Colorado ghost hunters out there, and you can follow them online, Michelle. That would be great. Get slimed. Get slimed, Chris. Let us know how that goes. That would be good. That story about the maid crawling into bed with you. We told Chris to go ahead and go get some ectoplasm or get slimed. Your choice. Follow they have Colorado ghost hunters out there, Michelle. You can follow them. And they investigate the stories of the Third Bridge. So interesting. Of course, we talked about Riverdale Road. Creepy, creepy place. So, lots going on in Colorado. So you're in a good spot there, Michelle. I think it's kind of cool. So we talked about most of them, but there was one called the Ridge Road. It's an abandoned asylum institution. It was a site of the former home of the Colorado State Home and Training School, Ridge Home, or known as the Home for Mental Defectives. And, of course, Insane Asylum. It was also called that. So, the true history of the Old Ridge Home is darker than most ghost stories. So we'll talk about that a little bit. I think it's rather interesting where the true stories are actually worse than the real ones. So it's also known as the Colorado State Home for Mental Defectives. Well, that's kind of creepy. I mean, you shouldn't do that. But anyway, article after article outlined the problems Ridge Home had over the decades it was open. In the 1940s, forced sterilization was practiced on a regular basis. We're back to that. That's just bizarre. That's just totally unacceptable. In the 1950s, one newspaper article quoted an administrator who said that many of the home's adult patients were far too mentally competent to be in the home, but were there because their families had abandoned them. He blamed poor testing and practices in the patients' youth when they admitted them. In 1970s, parts of the campus were ordered closed because of cracks in the walls and foundation. Fire safety was also inadequate. Fire escapes were blocked. Nothing going on there. Constant break-ins. Residents being neglected due to understaffing and staff training. Yes, it was. Michelle just said, at one point, excessive reading was considered a mental problem. Well, we'd all be in a home, wouldn't we? Especially us here tonight. At least one member of the staff was sent to prison after being convicted of abusing multiple patients and then bragging about it to his friends. Um, it was by 1992, Ridge Home was closed for good due to it was abruptly abandoned due to funding cuts. The building was still filled with beds, equipment, and toys. Walls were covered with graffiti tags, and asbestos was leaking. Not a good thing. Over its long history, there were plenty of good things going on, but mostly it was totally. There was in 1959 there was a report that 670 children were in the institution. The paper also mentioned the high quality care she was known for. It kept saying inadequate funding, inadequate funding. If you ask me, back then they were pretty. We're all in trouble. So were you. Don't go there. You right. So that's trouble. So back then they kept saying inadequate funding. It's back then they could embezzle and nobody would know any different in the institutions. I think that's a pretty well known fact. They didn't care about the patients. They figured they didn't know any better. So interesting article on that about the abuses and stuff going around there. That was Ridge Home in Colorado. So I think we're going to move on to New Mexico. Now, Roswell in particular, but we all know what that's known for, which I went over last time, Roswell. Aliens, okay. So I just went pretty much broad. I just said New Mexico. We all know what Roswell is known for. That's pretty cool to live there, though, I'll bet you. So we have, it's called Demonic Ghost Appears at Crossroads. And this story involves a creepy ghost named Lamala Hora. She has the face of a demon, glowing red eyes, and sharp-pointed teeth. Oh, yeah. There you go, Michelle. She has the face of a demon, glowing red eyes, and sharp-pointed teeth. Now imagine meeting her in a dark road there, okay? She appears in country crossroads after dark and is only seen by those traveling alone. Some say she is a dangerous demon who enjoys terrorizing humans by paralyzing them or turning them insane. Other legends describe the creepy ghost as an omen of death. If you see her, you're going to die. So, interesting. That's Country Crossroads Demon. Nice. Don't think I'll go there real soon. Ghost Town haunted by dead miners. Dawson, New Mexico doesn't really exist anymore. You don't want to go either? Okay. Because the town was abandoned after 2 deadly disasters. The only thing left of the old mining town is the Dawson Cemetery. Oh, well, that's nice. It thrived in the late 1800s, but tragedy struck in 1913 when an explosion took the lives of nearly 300 miners. 10 years later, another explosion killed 123 men. That's 423 miners probably haunting this place. And the company closed down the mine and Dawson became a ghost town, literally. Visitors see misty apparitions and glowing lights near the cemetery gravestones. They say these lights are the headlights of the ghostly miners' helmets. That would be kind of cool to see. I've always wanted to go to Gettysburg to see if the legends are true there. So, that would be another cool place to see. Gettysburg, I like to really see. They say it's very haunted due to the battles and the dead left there. They didn't bury them; they were just kind of left. So, there's a theater in New Mexico called the Chemos Theater.